Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bell to Bell. I'm your host, Nick Belsky, and we have a great show for you guys today as we are less than 3 weeks away from WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, Nevada. And with that said, we finally got the opportunity to see John Cena targeting Cody Rhodes and not the fan base on the microphone. We'll break down everything that there was to be said between Cody and John in London and where it leaves us with, like I said, less than 3 weeks until WrestleMania. Also, is AJ Styles better off finishing his career in AEW? We'll discuss that. And then I have 3 bold predictions with WrestleMania just a few weeks away. But before we get started, as we always like to remind everybody, if you enjoy our content, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube by simply searching Nick Belsky, or you can find us on Spotify at Bell to Bell. Let's kick off with the biggest news, the biggest segment, the biggest everything of this past week, and that was for the 3rd consecutive week on Monday Night Raw on Netflix, we got John Cena and Cody Rhodes. But while it looked like it was a cut and paste of the previous 2 weeks, this and what could be the final showdown between these two heading into WrestleMania was a little bit different, because John Cena, as we saw in Belgium, as we saw in, I believe it was Italy was the second week, it was Scotland the second week, he comes out, he gets ready to cut a promo, presumably on the WWE Universe. But before we get into that, wrestling has more than one royal family. Cody Rhodes cuts him off, showing that he has no respect for this version of John Cena. And then he tells Cena point blank, I've seen you do it to Roman Reigns. I've seen you do it to The Rock. I've seen you do it to freaking Austin Theory. Cook me. Cook me on the mic. That's what everybody expects you to do. I have a lisp. I created a company and got kicked out of it. He brought all of this up. He has a neck tattoo that should be on his arm. He said, cook me, because I know what you're going to say, and that's what you're going to say. And John Cena finally had had enough. Finally looks at Cody Rhodes and says, you know what? I do have something to say to you. I do need to get something off my chest about you, Cody Rhodes. And he had a few quotes in that long promo that you looked at it and you said, man, this might have been peak Cena. The best one, and we will get to a couple of them, but the best one was 1000%, quote, I don't bury talent. I am talent. I bury mediocrity. And that's how he views Cody Rhodes. That's how he views every WWE superstar nowadays. They are not to the standard and to the level of John Cena. And that is part of, I have an idea as to why the real reason is that John Cena decided that he wanted to turn heel and he wanted to kick Cody Rhodes where the sun doesn't shine back at Elimination Chamber. But one of the reasons is he looks at WWE today and doesn't view it as strong as it was when he was the man, when he was the bright shining star, when he was Superman for the WWE Universe. Now that Cody is in that role, he doesn't think that he's fit to hold his shoes, to wear his jockstrap, to be his driver, which is what he also said. He said, Cody, you were my chauffeur when you first got into this. So the fact that you are the champion means so much less than it did when I was champion. So he goes after him, and first and foremost, Wade Barrett's sitting right there, man. They had Wade Barrett out on commentary. Whenever you say, I don't bury talent, I bury mediocrity, let's not forget one of the biggest burials of John Cena's career is when he completely took out the entirety of Nexus, which was a young up-and-coming group led by who other than Wade Barrett. So that had to sting for the 1/3 of the commentary table there. But at the end of the day, this is exactly what we've wanted from John Cena. We wanted him to fight back. We wanted him to cook Cody Rhodes, because that's Cena at his best. And I said last week, maybe they're just not doing that simply because that was the whole impetus of this entire John Cena heel persona, is I'm not going to give you what you want. You wanted a new look? No, I'm still wearing the jorts, the hat, the farewell tour shirt. You wanted new music? No, it's still My Time Is Now by John Cena. He said, it's my voice on the track. Why would I change it? So you don't get new music. You don't get a new look. And you don't get John Cena cooking his opponent at WrestleMania. Well, apparently he had enough. So going after him, saying stuff like, I don't bury talent, I am talent, I bury mediocrity. I mean, that is the line. That will be the one that we hear all of Easter weekend on WrestleMania 41 promos is I bury mediocrity. And that's what John Cena is looking to do in the main event of night 2. But the other one that has certainly made its rounds in the last couple of days is John Cena saying to Cody Rhodes, I build empires for billionaires. You just steal money from their kids. That one was deep. Now, there's a lot of times where AEW references don't hit. It just feels forced. It feels like, you really didn't need to bring that in, or you simply go out there and it's cheap. That wasn't a cheap shot. That wasn't a cheap reference. That was a deep cut, not too deep, but for those who know, they know. And that was well done. Perfectly done. So I like what I saw out of John Cena. I wouldn't say that he absolutely cooked Cody, because I liked what Cody had to say in return. He said, listen, I wouldn't be in this position. You're so upset about me being in this position. I wouldn't be here if you didn't leave this mess. If you didn't leave WWE worse off than you found it. You came in at the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression era off of the best era, arguably, in the history of the company, which was the Attitude Era in the late 90s. Cena then walks in. A lot of heat, a lot of momentum from the company. When he walked out, at least as a full-time participant back in, whatever it was, mid-2010s, it was in a bad space. 2018, 2019, even into 2020. Of course, the pandemic is a big part of that, but WWE was not popular. WWE had no momentum. And Cody called Cena out for that and said, listen, the keys were handed to you and you wrecked a Porsche into a tree, and then all of a sudden you had to replace it with a Volkswagen Bug, essentially. That's what Cody's saying. He's saying the reason that a guy like me, in your eyes, is able to be champion today is because you left an absolute mess of this place. You left a fan base that was so dejected and looking for anything that a, quote, guy like me can walk in and become Superman. So I thought it was a well-done promo. I thought anybody who had argued or anybody who had complained about the fact that this doesn't feel like a build to a night 2 main event for WrestleMania, I think a lot of that got quieted down after what we saw Monday in London. Now, here's the thing. It brings us to the next question here. Could Cody Rhodes actually drop the belt to John Cena at WrestleMania? Could John Cena actually win championship number 17 in Las Vegas, Nevada? Now, I will say this, and Zach Smith, who I had on the show a couple weeks ago, he said it perfectly. This is the first time that it feels like the threat is real for somebody to take the title off of Cody Rhodes. He beat Roman at Mania last year. He had his feud with AJ, but he wasn't going to drop the belt in the first 3 months, which means the Logan feud wasn't going to go any other way than Cody winning as well. The Kevin was as close as we got, but realistically, does anybody expect Kevin Owens to win a title at the Royal Rumble? He's 0 for 8 in those instances. So no, the threat didn't feel real. Even if the storyline was great, even if that feud was phenomenal, nobody expected Kevin Owens. It would have been an upset, would have been a massive upset if if Kevin Owens beat Cody Rhodes at the Royal Rumble. But if John Cena beats Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, would it be all that surprising? No. So I would say the threat is real. And Cody might be poking the bear a little bit too much. The last 2 weeks, he was trying to get John to focus on him. He was trying to get John to respect him a little bit. Because if you're Cody Rhodes and you're seeing this guy come out here who kicked you in the balls, who beat the heck out of you, who opened the door for Travis Scott to blow out your eardrum and give you a black eye, you'd want him to come out the next week and say, yeah, screw Cody Rhodes. I know he's a threat, and that's why I took him out. And he didn't do that. He came out and he moaned and complained about the WWE universe not respecting him and how he hates the WWE universe and how he wants to ruin wrestling for everybody. Cody's got to be sitting there saying, listen, to do that, you have to beat me. And it feels like you're not taking me seriously. So he's been poking the bear for a couple of weeks. It is still John Cena. And perhaps, as Cody Rhodes said 3 weeks ago in Brussels, Perhaps this is the most dangerous version of John Cena that we have ever seen. And Cody's just poking away. But with that said, if I had to make a prediction today, I would say there is no way, not a snowball's chance in hell, that John Cena takes down Cody Rhodes. I think Cody retains, and I don't particularly think it's going to be a close discussion. Now, it's going to be a good match, but I don't think that it's something that should be 60-40, 55-45. I would put it right now, 85% chance Cody Rhodes walks away from WrestleMania as the WWE champion. And why is that? Because of the reason that John Cena turned heel in the first place. It's because he doesn't trust his skills anymore. Yeah, maybe on the mic, but the guy's almost 50, or is he over 50? I don't even know at this point. Check his birth certificate. He's old. And a lot of people will say, he's not washed. He's still got it. But what did this entire farewell tour start off with? Back in Los Angeles, back at the Netflix debut of Raw, John Cena mentioned that, hey, I haven't won a match. And if you add the 85, 86 days since that day, he has not won a match, with the exception of the Elimination Chamber, where he was handed the victory by Seth Rollins curb stomping CM Punk. Cena has not won a match in 2,531 days. That's why he sold his soul. He's not confident that he could take out Cody Rhodes all by his lonesome. He's not confident that he could use the 5 moves of doom and take down the undisputed WWE champion. He is hiding behind cheap tricks for the first time in his career. He is hiding behind The Rock for the first time in his career because he doesn't trust himself. And do I think that a guy who hasn't won a match in 2,531 days and counting is going to take the belt off the top guy in his prime? No, I just can't. I can't believe it. I can't get along with that being the thought process for WrestleMania. I just don't think Cena is going to be able to go out there and get the job done. Now, also, because what happens if Cena wins? Right? Cena has said, I'm going to win this belt at Mania, and I'm going to take the last real championship away from this company. I'm going to go retire and put this belt on my mantle. You'll never see it again, and you can go buy a toy belt on WWEshop.com, and that's what these peasants of main eventers, so called it, can fight over once I'm gone. Are you going to cut the Cena farewell tour short? No, that's not going to happen. So all I'm saying is, everything being what it is, Cody Rhodes is going to win at WrestleMania. Now, this could be old takes exposed in, I think it's 19 days at this point, 18 days at this point, but I'm feeling pretty confident, and we'll see if that confidence is what it should be. Let's move over and talk about something that really doesn't have to pertain with anything we're seeing on television. There's a little bit of a connection here, but realistically, it's something that just I've been thinking about over the last week. Back in February, there were rumors that started about AJ Styles' current contract with WWE potentially coming to a close here in the early stages of 2025. Now, the speculation was that maybe he could jump to AEW, make his debut in AEW once that happens. Now, Styles himself has suggested that he wants to finish his career with WWE, which is coming a lot quicker than a lot of us really would like it to come. He said 50 is essentially the deadline. He never wanted to wrestle into his 50s. The guy is 47, will be 48 in the middle of this year. But once again, this past week, those rumors started to resurface again online. Man, wouldn't it be great to see AJ Styles in AEW? Man, AJ Styles would be better off. I've seen that in AEW. And I didn't think much about it until after what I saw on Monday. This Mania buildup for AJ Styles between him and Logan Paul was rough, man. The match was made official on Monday by Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. It will be AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. And those two in a ring, when it comes to actually wrestling, might be entertaining. But boy, that promo on Monday was not. It really wasn't. It is the same cut and paste feud that we have seen with everybody with Logan Paul. They don't like him because he's an unlikable guy and he hadn't earned it and earned the right to be in the position that he's in WWE. Meanwhile, guys like AJ Styles took 20 years just to get to WWE and then has been here for 10 years and has still been given similar opportunities to what Logan Paul has gotten in 3 years since just saying, hey, I'm going to pick this up like it's knitting. Yeah, the storyline works, but the storyline has been done with the same antagonist time and time again. So until WrestleMania, I don't really have any interest in what this program is. And it sucks because AJ Styles is my favorite current wrestler in every promotion. It is AJ Styles. He still has it. He still has the ability and the capability to go at an elite level. Putting him in a ring with Logan Paul on the mic, it hasn't been entertaining. The match, I'm sure it will be. But because of that, it's made me think, are those people on the internet correct? Will we get more out of AJ Styles in his final few years if he is with AEW versus if he is with WWE? And the answer, after taking a couple days to think about this, is yes, we will. Because we'll get a couple of things. One, we'll get a lot of really good feuds. We'll get a lot of really good matches for AJ Styles. Get to see Styles versus Okada again. Get to see Styles versus Omega again. Get to see Styles versus Will Ospreay. You're telling me those wouldn't all be 5-star matches on Dave Meltzer's scale? Now, of course, it's an AEW, so he already probably has 4 stars going into the match, but they would be match of the year candidates, each and every one of them. Maybe he gets one last match or one last feud with Samoa Joe, that throwback to their TNA days when they were running that company. Get to see that. Maybe a reunion run with the Young Bucks, but again, who knows what's going on with them because they haven't been on AEW television since October. But still, there is that connection, AJ and the Bucks. So there's a lot of people, there's a lot of feuds, there's a lot of matches that would be great to see AJ Styles have one more go at in AEW. You could say the same for WWE. I'm sure we'd all love to see AJ versus Cena one more time. I'm sure we'd all like to see AJ versus Roman again. But you look at AEW and the names are just a little bit, I wouldn't say bigger, but the list is longer with high quality names. There's high quality names on both sides, but the list is longer in AEW. And the second reason here, AJ might actually get a proper final world title run. The last time AJ Styles held gold in WWE was the tag titles with Omos back in 2021. The last time AJ Styles held a world championship was in 2018. That's 7 years ago and only year 3 of his run in this company. The house that AJ Styles built, his first world title run in WWE, was great. It helped put Smackdown back on the map. It helped build that brand back up. I don't know if we'll get that again in WWE. I don't know if we'll get a proper title run out of AJ Styles in WWE because right now you look at their world titles, you have Cody Rhodes and that title, which feels like it is meant to be for the top of the top main eventers in this company. Roman Reigns held that for over 1,000 days. 1,316 days, Roman Reigns held that title. Cody has held it now. I think we're approaching the 1-year mark, 365 days. John Cena's going after it. Randy Orton will probably go after it. Roman Reigns eventually will go after it once again. It feels like the laundry list of people in front of AJ Styles is just too much for him to climb in 2.5 years to get a proper final title run. Meanwhile, in AEW, right now, who's vying for the world title? Jon Moxley has it. You can say what you want. Maybe he won't have it by the time you listen to this, if it is past what we see here at AEW Dynasty coming up this weekend. But we're seeing Cope just finish a world title feud with Jon Moxley, a multi-month, multi-match world title feud with Jon Moxley. And AJ has way more left in the tank than Adam Copeland does. Wouldn't need the crazy blood spots either. I love Edge. I love Adam Copeland. But man, those matches were not fun to watch. They were rough. There was the shock factor, and that was all. It's a shell of what he was. Now, again, do I still enjoy him? Yeah. Anytime Metalingus hits, I lose my mind. But in a world title feud, it just didn't feel like it fit. I feel like it would still fit with AJ. So would it be better? Would we get more out of it? Yes. Is it better for AJ? Only AJ can answer that. You know, what's the money like? What's the retirement plan like? What's the post-retirement plans, right? Is there a lane where AJ can remain involved in WWE more or better or at a higher rate than we can be involved in with AEW? AEW is still a brand on the rise. AEW is still looking to build that identity, looking to make those memories, looking to establish themselves. And they've done a great job with this deal with Max that has gotten them there. But at the same time, WWE set. If he gets an opportunity to either be a trainer or just be, I doubt he'd want to be a writer, but you never know. If he gets an opportunity to be involved post-career, post-in-ring career, maybe it's better at WWE. I don't know. I haven't seen the retirement packages for either place. But it feels like WWE is likely a better post-career spot for AJ. But in the last 2.5 years of his in-ring career, something's telling me, and it might just be the lackluster build to him and Logan Paul, that he might be better off, and we might get more out of him in AEW. Again, this might be a moot point. He might sign an extension and say, I'm ended my career in WWE, and I'm sure what he does will be great. Like I said, Paul versus Styles at Mania is going to be a heck of a lot of fun as far as a match is concerned. But the opportunities, they feel like they might be a little bit higher, a little bit bigger, a little bit more important if he were to jump ship. We'll have to wait and see what he ends up doing. Let's close out this episode with a couple WrestleMania bold predictions. We're going to give our full slate predictions episode on Mania week as we lead into that, as we get the actual match card, because as of right now, we are just over 2 weeks away. You could say 3 weeks, but it's really 2.5. 7 confirmed matches so far. So WWE has a lot of work to do between now and then to finish this match card. Now, there are a couple matches that we know are going to get made that haven't been made yet. There's a couple additions, right? We know Rhea Ripley, some way, shape, or form, is going to get inserted into the match with Io Sky and Bianca Belair. So it's not going to take much for them to add these matches to the card. But as of right now, 7 confirmed matches where we've seen the graphic. It's been made official by whether that be Triple H, Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, all of them. 7 of them. With that, I have 3 bold predictions for WrestleMania 41. You let me know in the comment section. Is it too bold? Is it not bold enough? Do you think this is something that could happen, or am I way out of left field and completely misreading the situation? The first one is one that I think a lot of people are going to think I'm misreading the situation, and it has everything to do with the feud and the match between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. When all is said and done, and night 2 comes to a close, fade to black, I think McIntyre Priest will have been one of the top 3 builds and matches that we get this WrestleMania season, which is crazy considering how many people have been so upset that this is the program that Drew McIntyre got for WrestleMania 41. But it's one of the best that they've done. The story is one of the best that they've done. And you're telling me that these 2 guys couldn't put on a banger of a match? We've seen them put on really solid matches over the past year, and that has been part of this story. And that's why this is one of the best builds that we have gotten this entire Mania season, because it's long game. That's always the best, when they can bring back Easter eggs and they can bring back feuds based on something that happened, because as Sam Roberts says, everything counts. Always. Nothing gets expired. Everything you see on WWE television, it counts for something. And this is a prime example of that. Damian Priest, for the past calendar year, has been profiting off of Drew McIntyre's misfortune. And the Scottish psychopath, he's tired of it. And I would be too. You look at Damian Priest, where he is right now, and where he was a year ago going into WrestleMania 40. He was a tag champ. A tag champ that was about to lose both of his belts. That's what he was. Now, the most important thing is he was Senior Money in the Bank. And that's where this story begins. Because Damian Priest has ascended to the main event level at the expense of everything that Drew McIntyre has been working towards. WrestleMania 40, 5 minutes, 26 seconds. Damian Priest wins the world title off of a beaten and battered Drew McIntyre, who is not ready for a match. Clash at the Castle. CM Punk screws Drew McIntyre. Who benefits? And still, your world heavyweight champion, Damian Priest. Same thing at Money in the Bank. And then you fast forward. They separate for a little bit. Drew finishes his feud with CM Punk, loses it in a big way, gets his head busted open, needs countless stitches because he's bleeding all over the place, and takes some time off because he needed it. Comes back and says, you know what? I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, get back on track, and do what I did last year and win the world title. Damian eliminates Drew in the Rumble. Damian then eliminates Drew in the Elimination Chamber. And all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre has the realization that, man, I've been focused on Punk. I've been focused on the bloodline. And all the meanwhile, this guy is profiting off of it and taking advantage of me when my back's turned. Well, it's time. I need to finally turn my attention to Damian and get rid of the biggest thorn in my side this entire year. Drew is continuing to do the best work of his career. And this is nothing short of that, right? His feud with CM Punk was great. His inclusion in the Rollins, Rhodes, Reigns, Rock storyline last year was great. This is that as well. And the thing is, I think Priest wins. I think this is a top 3 match at Mania. And I think because of that, losing that match and not being able to get over the guy that he thinks is only in that position because he screwed him over, losing that match will drive Drew McIntyre to sell out to The Rock. We've been speculating, is this just John Cena? The Rock has had his 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1 finger, all of it. Is there more people that are going to sell out to The Rock and become this authority type faction? I think Drew's one of them. I think with Priest, with Punk, with Rollins running wild and all getting the upper hand on him over the past year, I think he's going to lose it. And he is going to be one of the best people to follow after this year's WrestleMania. And I think it's going to be in large part due to the work that they're going to do over the next couple of weeks and the work that they're going to do at WrestleMania 41. Second bold prediction involves the mega triple threat that we will see at WrestleMania 41 Night 1 main event. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. The last 2 weeks, they've really turned up the heat. Yeah, there are little facts, figures, little drops, little breadcrumbs here and there that have been good. The Royal Rumble, what we saw, Elimination Chamber, what we saw between Rollins and Punk, Madison Square Garden. Yeah, that was great. But the last 2 weeks on SmackDown is really where this has turned up and really where this has turned into a premier main event level feud. The pull apart brawl 2 weeks ago, well done. You don't need to do that again though, right? You did the pull apart brawl. They all pointed the WrestleMania sign and Triple H made it official in less than 10 minutes after the show. Last week, picture perfect contract signing. The word cinema has been thrown around pretty much too much over the last couple of years when it comes to WWE. But if there ever was something that you could call cinema in wrestling, it was the contract signing last week. And guess what? It didn't need. It didn't need somebody to flip the table and start punching. It didn't need somebody to put somebody through a table because it was all done through storytelling. And that is why, bold prediction, this mega triple threat will be an all-time great match. Last week, we learned that they're going to start putting matches and moments into the WWE Hall of Fame. Instant Hall of Fame matchup. That's what we're going to see on night 1 of WrestleMania 41. The story that they can tell. And I'm not saying anything that you probably don't already know, but the Reigns and Rollins history is decade plus long that they are going to include in here. They're going to put Easter eggs in here. They are going to tell that story, the disdain between two brothers that no longer have any faith in each other, any trust in each other. Rollins and Punk, that history is a decade plus long. They've been telling it over the beginning of 2025. That will continue. Seth Rollins crashed out for the simple fact that CM Punk gets the main event WrestleMania, when even in that instance, it's Seth Rollins getting his second main event at WrestleMania. That means something. And he says, I don't care that I get the main event 2 years in a row. I'm more upset that that guy gets to live out his dream. That's going to be included in this. And the biggest one that we saw last week, and why I think that was cinema on Friday Night SmackDown, Reigns is concerned about the favor. We've always asked, what is this favor that Paul Heyman owes to CM Punk? Is Roman Reigns concerned about it? Well, yeah. Last week, we saw it, because whenever Paul Heyman knelt down and kissed CM Punk on the forehead and said, you will be a WrestleMania main eventer, Roman Reigns' reaction was, one man's dream is another man's favor, and said, check, done. Me and my wise man can move past this. And what is the last thing you saw on Friday? CM Punk thanking the tribal chief for putting him in position to main event WrestleMania, and also telling him, but that's not the favor. And Roman looked pissed. He looked absolutely pissed. And that is going to be a huge, huge part of this WrestleMania main event. And let's not forget, this is two of the best in-ring competitors that we have in their prime, and that is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. They're two of the best right now in the industry. So in-ring work, it's going to be great. Storytelling-wise, it's going to be great. In-ring-wise, Punk is not a slouch either. Yeah, he's a little bit long in the tooth, but at the same time, he's put on some pretty damn good matches in 2025 so far, and I guarantee you, in the ring with these two, in his first WrestleMania main event, he's going to leave it all out there. So I will say this is going to be an all-time great match. And I'll go one further here. This will be the most memorable Mania match since WrestleMania 31, 10 years ago, when Seth Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank to beat Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Better than both Cody matches, better than anything we've seen in that time span. I think this one takes the cake. Better than John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I think this one will just be a little bit more elevated. And that's why I really, really am excited for April 19th to see how this all shakes out. And the last one, involving one of these three men. Last WrestleMania 41 bold prediction. Roman Reigns will get involved in the Night 2 main event between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. I'd love to see Cena versus Rhodes, straight up 1v1 WrestleMania main event, no outside interference, no Rock, no Travis Scott, no Roman Reigns, no Jey Uso, no Randy Orton, no Kevin Owens, none of that. We saw it last year where everybody and their mother, they emptied the locker room for the WrestleMania main event last year. Undertaker was out there, John Cena was out there, Solo Sikoa was out there, the Usos were out there. They emptied the locker room. Everybody who was ever part of this feud for 2 milliseconds on TV, they got involved. I would love to see a straight up 1v1 match this year for the world title, but we're not going to get that. The Rock is still a factor. We haven't seen or heard from him since Elimination Chamber. That's not going to sustain. His souls are a factor. John Cena sold his soul to The Rock, but maybe he's not the only one. What did we talk about earlier this segment? Drew McIntyre losing to Damian Priest at Mania. Drew McIntyre also saying last week on a podcast, there might be something coming between him and The Rock, and it's going to be big, but that's all he can say. Maybe that plays a role in Night 2 main event. Cody's allies have been stripped away. Kevin Owens turned on him. Jey Uso has his hands full with Gunther, who just essentially assaulted, and it looked like he killed him, but he really bloodied up Jimmy Uso. So Jay's not going to help out Cody. Sammy's been taken out by Kevin. He hasn't been seen since Elimination Chamber. Randy Orton has KO at Mania, so he has his hands full, but he also looked at Cody and said, listen, you get through Mania, Cena might have kicked you in the balls. I'm coming straight at your head. I'm coming straight for you, but I'll do it in front of your face. So Randy's not going to come out there for him. So if The Rock gets involved, who's got Cody's back? Well, maybe it's a relationship out of necessity. Maybe it's somebody who I still have a hard time believing didn't take exception to The Rock choosing John Cena and then Cody Rhodes before him to be his guy, to be his champion. Roman Reigns is blood. Roman Reigns is family. The Rock put up the damn family tree before WrestleMania 40 and said, this is everything to me. And then he goes and chooses Cody Rhodes, who denies him, inevitably. And then he chooses John Cena over Roman Reigns, who just finished up a 1,300-day world title reign, the longest that we have seen in the modern era. Yeah, something tells me that Roman might be the guy to come out and say, enough of this, to start their storyline for WrestleMania 42 between Roman and The Rock. Because let's face it, when The Rock started getting involved in this WrestleMania build, it was on an Instagram story where he simply said, instead of one day, it's day one. And today is day one of something that I've always said that I want to do someday, but I'm going to start doing today. That wasn't stealing the soul of John Cena. That's not what he's always wanted to do. What he's always wanted to do was main event WrestleMania with his cousin, Roman Reigns. And that story can't be told in 2 weeks, 2 months. Shoot, that story could probably be told in 2 years. But with the next thing happening being The Rock coming out and announcing in New Orleans that WrestleMania 42 is in New Orleans, and then starting this long story where he's taking souls, where he's grabbing champions, and he's starting to become a delineator instead of somebody that needs to go into the ring. He can say, I have John Cena, I have Drew McIntyre, I have maybe, who knows, Randy Orton. And they can do my bidding for me. I could see Roman, who all of a sudden is a sympathetic tweener, where he's still not a babyface, but he is widely adored. And eventually we all expect him to become the babyface that is right up there next to Cody Rhodes. Relationship out of necessity. We saw it at Bad Blood. Roman wants his title back, but Roman being shunned by a family member might take the cake on that one. That's why instead of going after the title immediately, he had to go back and get the Ula Fala from Solo Sikoa. After he's done with his triple threat match and his business is done with CM Punk and Seth Rollins in Mania weekend, maybe he turns his attention to The Rock and what he's been doing with John Cena. So that's my last bold prediction here, is that Roman Reigns will get involved in the Night 2 main event of WrestleMania 41 between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Let me know in the comments. Am I way off base on these? The 3 that I have are Roman getting involved with Rhodes versus Cena, the triple threat involving Roman Reigns, as well as Seth Rollins and CM Punk will be an all-timer, and Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest, when all is said and done, will be a top 3 matchup and top 3 feud this WrestleMania season. But that's going to do it for this episode of Bell to Bell. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. Remember, if you enjoy our content, to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube at Nick Belsky, or you can find us on Spotify by searching Bell to Bell. That's it for this one. We'll see you guys next time.